A high-speed rail connecting Sydney and Newcastle, it's a dream as old as Australia's love for long-distance travel. But could this time be different? For decades, we've heard the promises, watched the glossy animations, and listened to political speeches about transforming the way we travel. But let's be honest, how many of those promises have actually turned into reality? Australians are tired of slow trains, congested roads, and spending hours commuting when they could be spending that time with family or simply living their lives. Now, there's a fresh announcement, a glimmer of hope, coming from the Federal High-Speed Rail Authority. This time, they're promising something different, something that's not just a flashy plan, but one backed by rigorous analysis, a finalized business case, and what they claim is serious government commitment. Could this be the moment we've been waiting for? Or is it just another chapter in Australia's long history of unfulfilled infrastructure promises? So, what exactly is being promised with this new high-speed rail plan? Let's break it down. First, the centerpiece of this proposal is a high-speed link between Sydney and Newcastle. This line is expected to slash travel time down to just 1 hour. For those commuting from the Central Coast, the journey to Sydney could be cut to a mere 30 minutes. A game changer for the thousands of people who currently endure hours on trains or the motorway every single day. But that's not all. The proposal isn't stopping with Sydney and Newcastle. The long-term vision includes high-speed connections to Melbourne, Canberra, and even Brisbane. Imagine being able to travel from Sydney to Melbourne or Brisbane in just a few hours. It's a future that feels straight out of a sci-fi movie. Now, let's talk speed. These trains are designed to hit top speeds of 320 kilometers per hour, putting them in the same league as high-speed rail networks in countries like Japan, France, and China. This isn't just about faster travel, it's about putting Australia on the map when it comes to modern world-class transportation infrastructure. But the benefits don't stop at travel times. This project has the potential to deliver huge economic and social benefits. For one, the construction and operation of the rail network will create thousands of jobs, giving the economy a significant boost. There's also the potential for housing development, particularly in areas like the Central Coast and Newcastle, which could see a surge in demand as these regions become more accessible to Sydney. But the benefits don't stop at travel times. This project has the potential to deliver huge economic and social benefits. For one, the construction and operation of the rail network will create thousands of jobs, giving the economy a significant boost. There's also the potential for housing development, particularly in areas like the Central Coast and Newcastle, which could see a surge in demand as these regions become more accessible to Sydney. Then there's the question of regional connectivity. By linking major cities and regional hubs, the high-speed rail could help decentralize Sydney's population, easing pressure on the city's infrastructure while giving people more options for where they live and work. It's not just a train, it's a blueprint for a more balanced and connected Australia. It's no secret that Australians have seen proposal after proposal for high-speed rail, only to watch those plans crumble under the weight of politics, funding issues, or lack of follow-through. So, why should we believe that this time will be any different? One major reason is the creation of the Federal High-Speed Rail Authority. This isn't just a temporary task force or a vague commitment. It's a dedicated body established to oversee the planning and implementation of high-speed rail in Australia. With an annual budget of $60 million, the Federal High-Speed Rail Authority is meant to focus on the big picture, planning, securing investment, and ensuring the project stays on track. Its existence signals that this time the government might actually be serious about seeing the project through. Then there's the business case. Unlike past proposals that often felt rushed or overly ambitious, this one is backed by rigorous analysis. The government has committed to finalizing a comprehensive business case that will examine the project's economic viability, environmental impact, and practical challenges. By focusing on addressing past mistakes, they aim to prove that this isn't just a pipe dream, it's a project with real potential. What's more, there's increasing public and political backing. Australians are fed up with traffic gridlock, unreliable trains, and long commutes. The frustration over our outdated infrastructure is palpable, and this high-speed rail proposal taps into that sentiment. Politicians, too, are championing the need for transformative infrastructure, recognizing that these projects can define their legacies. The growing pressure from the public is forcing leaders to take this idea more seriously than ever before. This time, it feels like the pieces are finally falling into place. The combination of a dedicated authority, solid planning, and widespread support could be what sets this proposal apart from the long line of failures that came before it. While the new high-speed rail proposal is generating excitement, it's not without its fair share of challenges and controversies. Let's unpack the obstacles that could derail this ambitious plan. First, there's the skepticism among Australians. After decades of grand promises and no tangible results, many people have grown cynical about high-speed rail projects. It's been called a drawn-out, taxpayer-funded joke, with Australians wondering if this is just another case of politicians over-promising and under-delivering. That doubt isn't unfounded. History hasn't been kind to large-scale infrastructure projects in this country, especially ones as complex as high-speed rail. Then there's the elephant in the room: funding and costs. This isn't a small undertaking. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, and that's just for the Sydney to Newcastle leg. Expanding the network to Melbourne, Canberra and Brisbane would cost even more. The big question is, where is the money coming from? Will the federal government foot the bill? Will private investors step in? Or, as many fear, will taxpayers end up carrying the burden? And let's not forget the risk of cost blowouts, a problem that has plagued major infrastructure projects like Sydney's light rail. The fear of spiralling budgets is enough to make even the most optimistic Australians hesitate. On top of that, there are environmental and land concerns. To build a high-speed rail network, vast amounts of land will need to be acquired. This could spark pushback from communities, particularly those in regional areas who may feel their homes and livelihoods are being sacrificed for the greater good. Add to that the need to protect the environment, and you've got a delicate balancing act. How do you develop game-changing infrastructure without harming the very landscapes and ecosystems that make Australia unique? These challenges are real and significant, but they're not insurmountable. If the government wants Australians to believe in this project, they'll need to tackle these issues head-on, with transparency and a clear plan for overcoming them. Now, let's shift focus and think about what this project really means for everyday Australians. This high-speed rail isn't just about cutting travel times, it's about transforming lives. For those of us who spend hours every week stuck in traffic or on slow, unreliable trains, the promise of high-speed rail could feel like a breath of fresh air. Imagine being able to cut hours off your daily commute, whether you're heading to work, university, or a weekend getaway. The time saved could open up a world of possibilities: more time with family, more time for yourself, or just fewer stressful days spent sitting in traffic or crammed on overcrowded trains. It's also about giving greater flexibility to families, workers, and students. With faster connections between cities and regional hubs, people could live further from their workplace or school without the fear of long and tiring commutes. It means more freedom, not just in terms of where you live, but how you live. This isn't just a Sydney-centric project. The high-speed rail could bring new opportunities to regional areas, like Newcastle and the Central Coast. It could drive economic growth, opening up these regions to new business investments, tourism, and residents who now have access to a more convenient and affordable way to travel. Moreover, one of the biggest challenges facing Australia right now is the housing crisis. High-speed rail could offer a solution. By connecting regional areas with major cities, it could make these areas more appealing for people looking for affordable housing, easing the strain on the already overburdened property markets in Sydney and Melbourne. Imagine being able to live in a quieter, more affordable area, but still be able to commute to a bustling city in under an hour. That's the kind of regional growth that could help reshape Australia's cities and towns. If this high-speed rail project moves forward, it could become a symbol of Australia catching up with global transportation standards. It's about building something that future generations will look back on with pride, knowing that they weren't stuck in the same slow, outdated systems. It's not just a rail line, it's about positioning Australia as a modern, forward-thinking nation that's ready to take on the challenges of the 21st century. So, let's ask the big question. Will Australians finally see the high-speed rail they've been promised for decades? Or is this just another false start? We've been here before, full of hope, only to be left disappointed. But this time, there's a lot more at stake. If done right, this rail line could be the first step in an infrastructure revolution. But only time will tell if the government can actually deliver on its promises. We want to know what you think. Will this high-speed rail proposal actually become a reality? Or are we in for more of the same? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on Australia's infrastructure developments. This is one conversation you won't want to miss.